Hello everybody, Mannix here. Time for a knife review on an instant favorite of mine. Cold Steel Code 4. Absolutely gorgeous, elegant cold steel right here. Most cold steels are known for being very aggressive and having very aggressive G10 or the Iron Cross FRN handle scale pattern here. Most of them are mimicking ancient swords and designed to look like and be function, I should say, as weapons. This is one of their more elegant options. It still looks pretty aggressive. You know, it's a big knife. It's not small. It's not a huge knife or anything, but it's big. It's not a tiny knife either. But it's a great EDC option. Absolutely gorgeous. One of my favorites ever, and I've been using it. As you can see, I didn't clean it up there. Got some tape residue I got to clean off. Let's get on with the specs. Weight is 4.3 ounces. Medium weight. Wouldn't call it a lightweight, but it's certainly not heavy either for this size. Speaking of size, blade length is 3.5 inches on the nose, the handle length 5 inches, making the overall length 8.5 inches. 60-61 aluminum handle scale right here, no liners or anything like that. Triad locking mechanism. We have a satin finish, it looks like, on this blade. It looks like it's a two-tone deal. We have the grind marks going a horizontal direction, then vertical, obviously, for the grind for the cutting edge right there. I happen to get the Tonto blade shape. This also comes in clip point as well as spear point. Interesting. I like Tontos. I'm a Tonto guy. That's what I went with. Blade steel is S35VN. That's a super steel right there. Super high quality. Retains an edge forever, for ages. It just keeps on going and going and going. Very, very high quality blade steel we got on this bad boy. Retails at $149.99. But you can get these for around the $80 range or so as far as early, mid 2022 is concerned. Tip up carry only. Thank you very much. It is swappable to the left side. The pocket clip is anyway. Well, technically it's not swappable, but it comes with a second pocket clip that you can attach to the other side right here. So there you go. Beautiful little golden looking backspacer right there. It's kind of a golden look to it. Almost, it's hard to say. I want to say it's slightly gold. Some people may argue it's a kind of a green. It looks almost like a gold to me. It's not like, you know, yellow gold or anything, but it's a beautiful color. Absolutely love it. Absolutely amazing, elegant, beautiful, sexy EDC knife by Cold Steel. Very strong because you got that triad lock on there. If you're not familiar, it's a lock back with an integral stop pin, as you can see right there. And just the inclusion of that makes it one of the strongest locking mechanisms in the world. It is self-adjusting. It's really slim. Look how slim that is. I mean, I got slim folders, but this one's really slim. Really, really, really. It's one of the slimmest folders out there, period, on the market right now. For this size, anyway, for this length, being a medium, large size folder. Carries beautifully. No aggressive texture underneath the pocket clip, which means it'll carry just fine. I like the pocket clip. I kind of like how stubby it is. I tend to like the stubbier clips, honestly. It's funny that even if you have a really, really long pocket clip, it doesn't necessarily make it easier to deploy the knife or take it out of your pocket, or extract it, I should say, because your pocket is in the way. It doesn't matter if you make the pocket clip a foot long. Your hand can only reach so far when the pocket itself or the lining of the pocket gets in the way. That's about as far as you can reach. Because as you push down on the pocket and try to reach even deeper, you're also going to be pushing the knife down. So you're literally just fighting it, and you will never reach any further than the pocket lining itself. So I actually kind of like the stubby clips. They're out of the way. They help with the grip, make it less uncomfortable, and they still act as a good brace when you're trying to deploy it. Some people don't like pocket clips on folding knives, or just knives in general. They think they're annoying or get in the way. I disagree. They make a great brace for gripping onto something when you're trying to flick or just open the knife up in general, honestly. But super smooth action. Again, fully aluminum liners, or full aluminum handle scales right here, so it's going to be very smooth in general. Very fun to play with. It just feels high quality. Absolutely love this thing. See, the milling on there is not lined up with the lock bar, which Cold Steel is notorious for doing, so it's basically useless, does nothing. It's a slick knife. Be careful with it. Don't do a really hard thrust cut or anything, because if you slip, your finger's going to be slipping on there, and you're going to be finger first with that S35VN blade steel right there, and it comes razor sharp out of the factory. So I'm generally not a huge fan of the metal handled knives. I like to have grip. I like to have, you know, a lot to hold on to. I like them thicker, and I don't like them slick. I like a lot of jimping. I like aggressive textures, and this got none of it. None of it. We have some nice finger trolls here. It is comfortable. It fits the human hand pretty well. I like it. We have a slight dip down in the spine. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love every little detail of this knife. It's very simple, very elegant. Gentleman's blade, but not really small either. It's a big, wide knife for its philosophy of use. It's actually a bigger, wider knife for what it is intended to be. There's plenty of elegant, simple, smooth knives out there, but they're small and they're slimmer, and this is a bigger version of those knives, which is one of the things I like about it. And because they put the triad lock on this, obviously, we increase its strength even further with that. So what's this knife really for? If you like the cold steels, you like the triad lock, you like the overbuiltness that their knives have in general, you want a knife that's going to be stronger than the other knives on the market, but you want something elegant, you want something EDC-able, this is the knife for you. It's kind of a mix in between the two. It's kind of in an odd spot. It's not a fully elegant knife, but it's not a fully, strong, aggressive-looking knife that has really aggressive texturing and can do really, really hard work and have a lot to grip onto. If your hand gets sweaty or it's dirty or wet or you're in like a survival situation, or that's when those cold steels or any other knife with aggressive texturing and patterns and such, that's when you want that. You want the knives to be grippy, or if you're in a tactical situation, a defensive situation, defending your life, you want those knives. This knife doesn't have that, but it is strong because of that triad lock, and you have metal handles here. It is well constructed, so it's kind of in an odd position, but I love it. I absolutely love this knife anyway. It's just elegant. It's just sweet. It's a great EDC knife. It's on the larger side. Again, it's pretty big. Actually, I said it's like medium, large. It's still kind of big. It's not a tiny knife by any means, but because it's so slim and so smooth and easy to extract out of the pocket, I consider it to be a total EDC knife. Absolutely, very slim, doesn't take up too much space in your pocket, and when you're passing down to get something else in your pocket, let's say it's going to be a breeze on your hand. It won't rip up the back of your hand or irritate it in any way, like the iron cross pattern on an FRN handle of some other cold steels would have, or the G10 or whatever. So it's very slick, very smooth. Lockup is excellent. It's a super strong knife. It's very, just enough side to side to fit a human hair, but I can adjust it out. It flicks out every single time. It's very fast for a lockback style folder. No wrist movement needed there. If you tighten it down, you might, but it doesn't feel like it would, for me anyway. I just deploy it with a thwack anyway. Any lockback style folder, I just give it a little bit of a wrist flick, because that's by design. It's usually not easy to deploy those one-handed, or without a wrist flick, I should say. One-handed, yeah, you can deploy it. If you need two hands to deploy it, that would be sad. But no, you can deploy it one-handed. It's just no wrist flick needed either. But most lockbacks, I do need a little bit of a wrist flick. So when I grab this knife and deploy it, my instinct is to just give it a wrist flick anyway. S35VN blade steel, it's a super steel to me. So for the price point, this is completely adequate. It is made in Taiwan. If you made this in the US, good night, you'd be paying maybe like $140 or so. In the aftermarket, you'd be paying what its retail is in the aftermarket, pretty much is what my prediction would be. It's just, unfortunately, more expensive to do that. I love keeping money in my economy. I like to buy US-made stuff if I can, but it makes stuff more expensive, unfortunately. So it is overseas produced. Just keep that in mind. There's not really a whole lot else to say about it. It's just a sweet, elegant knife, and if you love cold steel knives, you have a whole collection of them, or if you have a collection of more elegant knives, this will be the strong, tough dude of all of the elegant, beautiful, smooth knives you take to a wedding or some sort of special occasion like that. But it's also very strong and brutish at the same time. And that's what I like about it. It mimics the shape and overall design of, say, the Recon 1 or the typical cold steel look. It just has that look to it, which I think is cool. I EDC this a lot. Again, it wouldn't be a knife I'd take with me on a survival situation. If I was in a bad part of town, I needed a knife to be quick to deploy and very grippy, and it won't fly out of my hands if I'm trying to deploy it in a stressful situation. This is not the knife I would pick, unfortunately, but its quality is there. We got an amazing blade steel. It's not terribly expensive. It's not cheap by any means, but it's not expensive either for this quality blade steel you are getting. It's just somewhat contradictory to me if I were to do this review objectively. I absolutely love this thing. It's one of my absolute favorite knives ever. Again, it's strong. It's got the triad lock, but if you were doing any kind of work that would require that strong of a locking mechanism, I mean, you don't have a whole lot to hold on to. It's very slim. It's very, very, very slim, which means it would get a little bit uncomfortable over time because the handle will kind of pinch your skin a little bit more. And it's slick and it's slightly slippery. It's not super slippery. Again, the whatever finish they put on this aluminum is it's actually grippy in a way, not like grippy like sandpaper, but your hand kind of gets stuck to it in a way. It's hard to describe. You have to get it in hand, but it's not grippy by any means. It's still a metal handle, so it's going to be slick compared to a very smooth FRN handle or something like that, or a smooth G10 handle. It is what it is. Again, kind of contradictory. It's like in between being an EDC knife and a tactical blade, but it's not, really, it's not like really small and really light like some EDC knives, and it's not like really big, brutish, and grippy like some tactical blades out there. It's kind of in between. It's kind of the worst and the best of both worlds. Interesting. But I like it for that. I like how Cold Steel put it together. It's very rare. They do these classier, elegant folders. They have mostly big old brutish knife. They have Holdout, Espada, Raja, Talwar, Voyager, Recon 1, AK-47. They have all these like aggressive knives. And they have this Angel that floats down in between all of them. It's still really strong. It's still really cool. I still really love it. It's still one of my favorite EDC knives. One of my favorite folding knives ever. But it would not be my first choice when it comes to a backpacking blade or a knife I'd be doing a lot of harder work with. That being said, if I feel classy and I want a knife on me to go to a wedding or a classy event or something that doesn't look too aggressive, I think it looks a little bit less aggressive than the more aggressive looking knives because of its handle color, the gold and the shiny metal, and I don't know. It still doesn't look friendly either though. Interesting. So absolutely a great knife. I'd give it a 10 out of 10. It's an amazing knife, and you might think that's weird. Like, well, you just said it's not very grippy, it's missing this and that, and how could you give it a 10 out of 10? Well, for what it is, it's beautiful, it's smooth, it's comfortable. For being a gentleman's folder, just the fact that it has that triad lock sets it over the top, but just because it's there doesn't mean you have to use it hard. You just throw the stop pin in there, and boom, you got a stronger locking mechanism instead of, say, a liner lock or a lockback. And you don't lose anything from it because it still deploys very quickly. Again, this one does not require any wrist movement, which is very, very, very impressive for such a strong locking mechanism. So that's basically it. Carries great. It's fully ambidextrous. Deploys very fast. Super steel on there. It's beautiful. It's slim. Carries so well because it takes up such little space. I mean, yeah, it is wide. It is long, but the handle is not very thick. It's very slim and it's very comfortable. I just have nothing really bad to say about it. No problems with it. It's an outstanding knife, belongs in pretty much every knife collector's collection. I love that backspacer. It's gorgeous, isn't it? A little expensive, $90, $80. Amazon, you can find these on sale for like $68, the very, very lowest. That's a steal. Absolutely get this knife for that money. That's insanely good. But that's just a special sale that pops up every now and again. Typically, you're going to be spending closer to $80 on these. And if the Tonto doesn't do it for you, get the clip point. And get the spear point. They're both more classy looking, I think. I just think this looks cooler because I love Tontos. So anyway, that is it. One of my favorite cold steels ever. It's a lot different. Try something different. You like the cold steels, like the more aggressive knives? Get the gentleman's version of those aggressive knives. That's what this is right here, I think. So really awesome. Awesome, awesome knife. There you go, cold steel. Code 4.